Welcome to Loud Librarians Lead with Laura Kelly. Today I am at the Redfield Carnegie Library, and joining me is Sarah Jones-Lutter, the director, and Amanda Evans, the children's librarian. Hi! Hey ladies! Thank you for joining me today to talk about your knowledge and experience about library school. And we are in the setting where library school takes place today. And Sarah, can you tell librarians across the state, what is library school?
So my name is Sarah, and I am the library director here at Redfield. I've been here for 4 years, and when I first started, I was a bit confused about library school. Is it a story hour? Is it not? Why do we call it library school? I call it library school because it's a combination of a story hour and a preschool. The idea is we will teach kids ages 3 to 6 a love of reading, but also get them ready for school. So it's similar to a story hour in that we do read a story every week to the kids. But it's similar to preschool in that kids must register to attend library school. So they come to one session throughout the year from September to May. They come without their parents. They often use city transit. And then they have free play, they have a craft, they have a song, and they have a story. It is a 1-hour program, and it is very popular here in Redfield.
It sounds just amazing, and they get everything in those early literacy skills that they need to be excited about literacy, but also to be school ready. So what a perfect program to get those little ones started, right? Yes. So Amanda, what is your role in library school?
Yep, so my name is Amanda Evans. I've been here in this setting for 9 years now, and I guess when I came here, it was an opportunity to keep something going in my community. At the time, they were looking for a teacher. Nobody was going to do it. We didn't have the access in our town for different preschool programs, so I'm like, here I am, get me started, let's go. I have a degree in human development and family studies, so I always have kind of gone towards those little kids and their age, and I have a love of reading children's books.
So you can pass that love on
Yes.
to them. Yes. Amanda, how do you choose the materials that you're going to use when facilitating library school?
I guess from the background experience of kind of the early literacy things and young children ages, 0 to age 5, I try to incorporate music, I try to incorporate the story, and I always like to do a craft with the kids for that 1 hour time that they're here. Just give them some of those basic skills to get started before they go into kindergarten. This is the first time a lot of the kids will even touch a pair of scissors. Yeah. So, it's just getting them all started.
So when they're here, do they get to check out books too?
Yes, they love checking out their own book. We have a little girl that knows our Peppa Pig area. We try to hone them in by offering like a choice of like 20 different books. When we have a group of 12 kids, you're giving them the opportunity to pick books, but not free-for-all on your shelves. So I guess it's kind of picking the books out, maybe with your theme of the week or what you have going on, to keep them toned in a little bit because of their age of what they pick, but still giving them multiple choices of their stories. You can do colors, you can do shapes, you can do feelings. There's so many books within a library to choose your topics. So,
yeah. Well, and it is so great because it can be overwhelming to go shop the library shelves, but we want them to have free choice too.
Yes.
So they get a little bit of both and get that library card right away. Yes. So have you encountered any hurdles along the way with library school?
Yep, so a lot of times, we're from a community where most of the parents both are working parents, and we couldn't get them here. So in our community, we are lucky enough that we have the city transit, and the city transit is how the majority of our kids get to our programming each week. We're very lucky to have that, but again, those kids that don't have access to that, it's hard to get some of them here. So it can be a challenge.
Yeah, and you kind of have to look at your community and see what would work for you if you were looking to do a library school, but don't forget about the transit.
Well, and because we don't see those parents, we try to send notes home in their books. We want to get a lot better at incorporating some of these early literacy skills by sending these notes home with the parents because we don't always see them. So I think that for us, it's something better that we want to get at that. Yeah, we send the note home and say what we're doing, but how is this benefiting your child? It's kind of a great
and they can practice that skill that you
Yes.
have, introduced or continue to reinforce if they've been introduced it in earlier, then they're able with that communication to continue that.
Yes, exactly.
Because we know that, the more they can practice and within their family, then the stronger that skill will become for them.
Yes.
Sarah, what are some ways that you've seen library school impact your community?
Well, library school is a big deal here, like I've said. It has been going on in Redfield since at least 1967.
Wow.
We don't actually know when it started. We're trying to figure it out, but since over 50 years, we have had this program, which means parents have gone and they're sending their kids. We even have a grandfather who sent his son, and now his granddaughter is coming. So that's 3 generations of one family. Families send 2 kids at the same time. They send kids for multiple years. This program, it's great for families, and families really look forward to it. We're already getting calls now for registration in August. People wanting to know, how many classes are we gonna hold? When are we registering? Because their kids look so forward to coming to this. They get to get their backpack and ride the bus for the first time.
It's so exciting to have patrons reaching out to you wanting to come to your program, right? And that's what we know, a well-established program can get to the point where they're asking you, when is it gonna start, right? Yeah.
Parents are so excited to send their kids because they remember coming to this program.
So Sarah, I noticed that you have a new piece of technology in your library. Tell us more.
We do. We have this Promethean board. It is a smart board, and we got it with money through the state library and COVID money. We got this, and we also got a few tablets specifically for our Story Hour program. We've only had it a month, but we have already used it. We had a class about ocean animals. So the kids came, Amanda read them a book about ocean animals, and then we showed them the animals, videos of animals, dolphins and walruses on the screen, and they got to see them and hear them. It's so exciting to have this technology, and we really actually started implementing technology during COVID. We started putting story times on Facebook. We introduced book flicks to the community, telling people, hey, you can use this state library database, and you can read books at home through this database. We're really starting to implement technology and trying to modernize our library school program a little bit.
That's so wonderful, and we were able to host Jumpstart here today with a hybrid. So we had in person, Amanda and Sarah led, and I helped out with the online, as well as we had discussions as a whole group even, which just turned out so nice. So it's great to be seeing that come into our libraries and using it in so many different ways.
Yes.
Amanda, what do you hope librarians will take away from this interview?
Don't be afraid to try something new. I always tell people that, we tell our kids that over and over again, but it is very true for when you're either new to a library setting with working with children, or you've even been there a while and you want to try something different. When I came here, we needed something in our community to keep people going. I wanted Story Hour to keep going, but we also didn't have a preschool at the time. So when you're here and you need that opportunity for kids, that's kind of how Story Hour came about. Well, now it's evolved so much that you're almost every year looking forward to what can I change and what can I make new. But I'm hoping that people know that your story is a lesson plan. When you open your book, that is your lesson plan. If you're teaching ocean animals, if you're teaching colors, if you're teaching numbers, that is the story that you're starting with. And I think for people to know that it is a fun way to interject that into the kids, it's a great starter. So please don't be afraid to try to learn something new. And you're learning through books daily. So it's just kind of something forward that try it.
And I love that advice, librarians, try something new and don't be afraid to just start with reading a story and expanding on that as your lesson, as a very basic way to start the program. Thank you, Amanda and Sarah, for inviting me here today for my first in-person vlog interview, which is so exciting, and sharing your knowledge and expertise about library school. But we're not done yet, because we have a few book recommendations that they would like to share with you today. So on to book recommendations. All right, remember, we always wrap up with some book recommendations, and Amanda is our expert in the early literacy field. So Amanda, what would you recommend for librarians out there?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Ellen Stowe Walsh, and she has the books Mouse Count and Mouse Paint, and a lot of books by Jan Brett I like to incorporate into my story hour. So those are two of my favorite of the early literacy ones.
Oh, I love the Mitten and all of those. Yes, Jan Brett, so beautiful, and then the kids can just take them and look at them afterwards when you're done too. What about for the children's category?
Yep, so Jory John, kind of a newer author that we found recently, and I like to compare his books to My Four Children, because when you look at The Good Egg, The Bad Seed, The Couch Potato, and The Perfect Cookie, I'm like, this fits all of my kids in a different way. And that social and emotional side of that's a good way to start talking to your kids about some of that information in those stories. So
yes, it is so great to be able to talk through stories. We don't have to directly mention maybe their behavior, but we can talk about the behavior of a character and how should they act. Yes. So it is kind of fun. Yeah. I love Jory John too.
Yeah. And then for the IR books, any of the Owl Diaries, the Branches series, we've had that be really popular in our library with our little bit older kids that are reading. So
Right, getting into those chapter books
Yes.
and things a little
Yep.
bit more in length. And yeah, that Branches series is great. That a lot of pictures and illustrations still.
Yeah,
So
fun.
that's nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Amanda.
yes, thanks.
All right, Sarah, we need some teen recommendations in this beautiful teen space that you have here at Redfield Public Library.
So we actually separated our collection last year into teen and tween. So I'll give you one tween recommendation and one teen recommendation. For tween, I always recommend to tween boys especially Lane Walker. He is an author and he writes hunting and fishing chapter books.
Oh.
They are fiction, they're not nonfiction, but they are really great to get those tween boys and girls, but anyone interested in hunting and fishing, to keep them reading in those tween years. And that can be a really hard age to really sell to kids. So especially here in Redfield, pheasant hunting is huge. Pheasant hunting fiction is going to be very popular.
Awesome.
So for teen, everyone who has ever met me knows what I'm going to recommend. It is The Selection series by Kira Cass. It is technically a 5-book series. Just read the first 3. And it's basically The Hunger Games meets The Bachelor.
Ooh, sounds
It's
great.
so good. If you have teen girls especially, it's a little more mature. Teen boys and girls, maybe it'll be a little bit more mature. And it's just fascinating. It grips you, and it's a series, but it's only 3 books. So it's not so long. They're easier reads, and they're my favorite book series.
Awesome. I can tell that she's loving them. And nothing like selling a book that you love, right? Yes, yes. Thank you, Sarah. What about for adults? What do you recommend for our adult patrons?
So adults love local stories they can tie to themselves. And we actually have a nonfiction story here of a local man who was a prisoner of war in World War II. The story is called The Story in My Father's Footlockers, and he was a POW in World War II, and fascinatingly, his great-grandson is actually a library school student right now.
Oh, crazy.
It's
Yes.
a short read, not too long, but people love it because they know the person in the book, and those local interest stories are really popular with patrons here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your book recommendations, inviting me to your library, and telling us all about library school. So remember, librarians are not just buns and shushing anymore. Bye, South Dakota librarians. See you again soon.